Okay. Hello everyone, Artemu the Violet Wizard here, and today we are continuing the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Last time we began exploring the area around Ikana Canyon, managing to help a couple people here, as well as find out a little bit more about just what's going on in this area, how the dead are all restless, and that bird is coming right towards me. Little interruption there. But yeah, we found out just what led to the fall of the kingdom that once ruled these lands. And we have gained the necessary means of being able to access the temple. All the way at the end of this place. So yeah, we will be taking on the final temple of the game here in this session. And then after that, we still got a bunch of things to wrap up before we are finally concluded with this game, but we're getting close to the end here, and I'm definitely feeling a little melancholy about that, but I guess that's just the way things go when you're at the end of an amazing game like this one. Hello, Jacob Rose. Very happy to see you in the chat here today. So yeah, we briefly visited the Stone Tower area in the last session. In order to progress for this area, we're gonna need it to do things with these switches here in order to move these blocks in order to go forward. In order to do that, we're gonna need to make use of our new song that we got from the King of Ikana. It took me a second just to remember how this actual song goes. It's actually not too bad to remember. But yeah, we learned the Elegy of Emptiness, which causes us to create a statue in our likeness. Oh, dude there is looking a little, interesting. But yeah, now that we are able to weigh down these switches using our... Ow. Using those, we are able to go forward in this area. And we've already are meeting a familiar enemy from Ocarina in this area. This is, of course, a Beamos. These guys will shoot a laser at you if you manage to get within their line of sight. But you can easily stop them by using bombs in order to blast them apart. To answer your question there, Jacob, yeah, this is the mirror shield. It just looks like this here. Definitely one of the freakier shield designs in the series, but, you know, it fits the tone of this particular game well. So, a neat thing with the Elegy of Emptiness is that when we played this song in one of the other forms that Link can take, it also creates statues in the likeness of the people that we got these masks from. So here we got a pretty upsetting statue of Darmani. Looks almost possessed there. Yeah, pretty freaky design, but, you know, that just... it fits the tone of this adventure, you know. Oh, we're like summoning reflections of the souls of people that we have encountered previously in our travels, you know? And of course, we want to weigh down this one, which should also open up a path for that block to go there. So you're kind of seeing what the gimmick is with the Elegy of Emptiness and creating these statues in order to weigh down switches. Kind of reminds me a bit of the Cane of Samaria from A Link to the Past, which gave you the ability to create blocks to weigh down switches. This one's definitely a lot more disturbing. So there we got a statue of Mikau's likeness, and poor guy. Quite the upsetting end to his story, even if we were ultimately able to redeem him. Over here we got some other switches. Those are basically cause the same effect as the switches that we just hit on the way over here. Just to be able to open up the path back down here. But we're not going to need it to do that anytime soon. I want to say that this area also has a few interesting things that you could probably reach if you were to play the Scarecrow song in certain areas, but I don't need to worry about that. So we got this switch over here that we can hit in order to move another block. And you're probably wondering, with all the different Elegy of Emptiness forms that we can get, that obviously there's got to be a use for the Deku form. And you would think that, but in our Deku form, we are too light to even weigh down a switch. And that also reflects in the statue that's created in your Deku form. Let's go ahead and play the Elegy of Emptiness in this form just so we can show this off. It's one of the few things I think players wouldn't really notice, just because it's not necessary to ever do. But yeah, we can make a little statue depicting what the Deku child that became the Deku mask used to look like. Certainly a very upsetting image there. And yeah, that statue is pretty much useless in this game, since it's completely incapable of weighing down switches. So it's more of just a background detail than anything else. But yeah, this part, we're gonna need to start weighing some more switches down if we are going to progress. And alright, we just need to find the spot that we can hookshot up to from here. There it is. And we got another Beamos. Probably avoid this one if we are careful. Also, yeah, you also gotta watch out for the boulders that are all over this place. It's kind of funny how the rolling boulders have been a consistent threat in the Zelda series ever since the first Zelda game. And they've just consistently popped up in so many games. I don't know, just a neat little detail involving the boulders. Alright, we'll weigh down this switch. Then, oh! Ow! Okay, probably could have dealt with that Beamos, but I don't really feel like it's that necessary. Like, they can't aim their lasers up high, so it's pretty easy to avoid getting hit by them if you're at a vantage point like this. So we'll just leave him be. And gotta weigh down this last switch to form the path forward. Yeah, it is a little irritating to have to constantly play this song, because you have to do it so much just to navigate through this part of the map. Luckily, we don't have to worry too much about it in the future. So now that we've weighed down you, we can press onward. So while we're going through this just going through this section here, there's quite a few topics regarding Majora's Mask that I wanted to bring up, but didn't really have a good time to really talk about this. And I figured just during this part would be a good time to really talk. Night of the second day. Except it's kind of what I would recommend is coming here on the as early as you can in the cycle, but it's really not too much of a concern for me here. guess I could save some of the other topics I want to mention for just a bit, because we're already at the end of this part here. So we are right at the entrance of the temple. Just got one more set of songs to play before we are done. And definitely want to make sure you hit this owl statue. That is the very last statue in the game, so you definitely want to make sure to hit that. Gives you a quick and easy warp back to the top of the stone tower area. That is definitely very nice here. Okay, I guess we can talk about what I want to while we are taking care of this puzzle here. So I want to mention regarding Majora's Mask, since we are so close to the end here, just want to kind of mention a lot of the inspirations behind this game, and just what I feel is very fitting given like the tone and just everything we've experienced so far. So I don't know how many people are aware of this, but I definitely feel like this game takes a lot of inspiration from stories like Alice in Wonderland and the Chronicles of Narnia. Well, all about kids being whisked away to this magical fantasy world. Which you can definitely see here, given how Termina's so much more fantastical compared to some of the stuff we've seen previously in the Zelda series. I mean, there's definitely still a lot of fantasy elements in some of the older games. Like, Ocarina still has its fair share of whimsical sections, but this game definitely has a lot more of that in a couple places. Like, there was an entire quest where we had to race against talking beavers. Which, hey, there was also talking beavers in the Chronicles of Narnia, so it's pretty fitting. Yeah, just kind of interesting and really makes you wonder just about Termina's place in the Zelda universe. This area is so disconnected from anything we have ever seen before and since. Another interesting thing is that this game has a lot of similarities to Link's Awakening, and since that game is obviously one of my favorite Zelda games of all time, you can definitely see how how much that these similarities mean to me, obviously. Yep, by solving that little puzzle there, we have finally opened up the path forward. So love that the entrance to this temple is in the shape of a giant face, and you have to walk into the mouth in order to enter it. God, just another very cool set piece of this area. But with that said, it is time to begin Stone Tower Temple. This is going to be the last of the main temples that we are going through in our adventure, and trust me when I say, this is a good one. Stone Tower definitely ranks high in a lot of people's minds when it comes to Zelda dungeons. And yeah, there's a lot we're going to be seeing in here. It's definitely the longest and most ambitious dungeon we have seen so far in our journey. And like, definitely really happy to go into just all the different things we can do around here. So you can already see a little bit about what we are gonna have to do, since there are switches on the ceiling that we can't do anything about just yet. Oh man. So much I want to mention about what's gonna go on here, but I like to save that for when it naturally occurs in this area. So we can already start off by shooting a switch on the eye there, giving us a quick and easy chest that we can get to with our hook shot. And in here, I believe, yep, we can get our first stray fairy of this area. I will mention briefly that for anyone who has played this game and probably is quite well known about this, is just that this area has the same amount of stray fairies as every other dungeon, but gathering all the stray fairies can be a bit more of the tricky side compared to some of the other areas we have been to. but believe me when I say that we will be doing our best to get everything we can in our first visit to this temple. Alright, so first thing I want to do is head over to the right side of this area here. So you can see that there's this giant block with the image of a sun in our way. There's nothing we can do about that for the time being, so let us press onward. I like to do a lot of different things there, Jacob. So when I'm not streaming, I'm usually just playing a lot of games on my own time, or I'll usually just be watching other people's videos online. Also like to read and write, and while the weather right now is definitely not suitable for it, I do enjoy a bit of walking around in nature. But I can't really do that right now because it's all wintry at the moment. Now, this section here is another moment where we gotta use the Elegy of Emptiness. But thankfully, this should be the last puzzle we need to go through that involves playing the Elegy of Emptiness. So thankfully, we don't have to worry too much about the rest of it going forward. Hey, but ow! Okay, using the hook shot on an exploding monster was probably not a good idea. Yeah, that was not a good call. Why did I do that? But yeah, definitely want to mention this as we're going through this area. So the temples in this game have obviously had a focus on the various masks that we have collected all throughout our journey. How Woodfall Temple was based around using the Deku mask, then Snowhead was based around the Goron mask, and Great Bay was based around the Zora mask. This area definitely feels like it's taking all the elements that we have encountered across our journey and testing out pretty much everything that we have gained over the course of this journey. Also, I like this bit here, how there's this giant switch that we cannot weigh down normally. You probably guessed what we gotta do with this one. We gotta be in our Goron form to be able to weigh the giant switch down. That's a pretty clever puzzle. And of course, we got to make another statue here, so that we'll be able to press onward. And with that, I'm pretty sure that's the last time we need to play the Elegy of Emptiness. Definitely quite useful for making it all the way over here, but yeah, we don't have to worry too much about it for the rest of our journey. It's got a few more dragonflies here. Probably be a good idea to try and kill as many enemies as you can when you're through this area, because you never know when the solution to one of these rooms could be taking care of all the enemies in an area. So definitely try to eliminate as many enemies as you can. Now, this part here is a little bit tricky, but what we want to do is place a bomb in this square of the floor. And that exposes a hole that we can drop down. Ow. So now we can enter this room here by shining our light with the mirror shield. We're able to make that block disappear. Very good. You also see some statues here that are very familiar to anyone who has played Ocarina. You probably know what's going to go on here. Alright, so over here, so we're gonna want to switch over to the Goron form, since the Goron is able to go across lava. Just wanna briefly see here, so we got some new enemies. These are Armos. These statue guys will come alive when you approach and will try to tackle you. Luckily, the Goron's fists are strong enough to just bash these guys away, which is quite good for us. Otherwise, you'd take them out by using bombs, but we don't really need to worry about that since we have the Goron form. So I forget if there's anything we get by killing all of the Armos, but I do want to check. Yep. So by killing all those guys, that causes a chest to appear. If we head into this chest here, we can grab the dungeon map. Definitely a necessity for this area, because Stone Tower is a very big area, and some of the paths here can be a bit tricky. I wouldn't say it's the most labyrinth of the dungeons, because I definitely feel that Great Bay is the most tricky with its layout, but this one can definitely be tricky if you're unprepared. So you can see an area that we can hookshot up to from here. So let's go up and see what we can find. Just up here, got ourselves another chest with another stray fairy. Also highly recommend having the Great Fairy Mask as often as you can. So we can see here that there is another stray fairy in this room. However, we're not going to worry too much about this one, because there's a certain gimmick with this area that will become more apparent as we go on through this area. But now that we got that stray fairy, we should be good to go forward. Yeah, there's another reason why getting the stray fairies here can be a bit tricky, because your mask can tell you that there is a stray fairy you still need to get here, but there is pretty much nothing you can do to actually get it. It's definitely one of the more interesting aspects about this area, but we're not going to worry too much about that. It's got a Beamos over there by that switch. There's nothing we can do about that at the moment, but we got some water we can head down. So we're going to want to put on our Zora mask. Again, we're seeing a lot of uses for all the masks we've collected across our journey. Alright, so down here in the water, you can see some doors over here under the water. And we also got this little opening here past a Dexy hand. If we head over this way, brings ourselves to another pretty open area. So this place, you want to explore this section as thoroughly as you can. It's a pretty big room, and there's a lot of secrets that we can find around here. You can also hear some bio-dekubabas. And, of course, there's tons of bonefish that we gotta worry about. Up there's the bio-dekubabas. Oh, get out of here, you. Alright, let's take these guys out, and then we can focus on what's next in this room. Come on, get going. I'm hoping that we're able to get through this area at a good pace, just because it's been a while since I've done this dungeon, and yeah, it can be pretty nasty if you're not prepared. So we can break one of those mines there, allowing ourselves to hit this switch. Oh, that's interesting. So it caused a chest to spawn, but it's upside down, and we have no means of being able to open it from this angle. Quite interesting. So we will want to remember that for later. It's definitely going to be a running theme of exploring around Stone Tower. Just all kinds of things that you're unable to do your first visit, but will be things that we're eventually going to be able to do. So we can see over here there is a switch covered in ice. So we want to take our fire arrows for that. Again, making good use out of all the items we've acquired on our journey. And doing that makes another chest appear that's upside down. Yeah, you can definitely see one of the eventual gimmicks of this area. Now here's a mechanic I'm kind of iffy on. We got these mirrors here that you can shine light on with your mirror shield. And then they hold on to that light in order to be able to use that in order to reach other areas. Such is the case with using it to shine onto that block, thus opening up the way to this chest. And that gets us the compass. Very good. Alright, Mr. Mouse, can you take that? And I believe if we head in this door... Yeah, this takes us back to the opening of this area. There's not much we're going to be able to do there for the time being. And even this area has a couple things we're not able to do. So we got a locked door over there. And then we have... Yeah, you can kind of see just how big this area is. There's a lot we got to do here. And just look at the amount of chests that there are to find here. Yeah, you're going to want to be very persistent with getting so much of this stuff. So I think we've done about all that we can do in this area for the time being. So I think I want to try and find another path to take. Can't go through that door. Ow. Just want to head back this way. This next part here is actually a bit interesting. So what I want to do is to either do a dolphin jump in order to get up there, or you'd simply maneuver over here and get grabbed by the Dexy hand. That causes it to toss us up here. It's actually quite a nice application of the Dexy hand. Now, this is a neat little thing you're able to do here. Normally you'd have to come back later in order to try and hit this switch. However, you can just do a spin attack in order to strike it from beyond that wall. So yeah, that's why I wanted to take care of that before opening up the path. And we're not going to be able to get to that chest until a bit later, so we're just going to ignore that for the time being. But now we got the key that was in that chest. It's time to head back into the room that we were just in. So managed to take care of all the switches we needed to in this room, so we should be good to go forward. Now, the day that I am doing this session is a bit interesting for me, because yesterday I was feeling very sick. I was just very nauseous, and it was just not a very good time for me. But I thankfully managed to get some medicine thanks to my brother, and I'm feeling a lot better today, which is why I wanted to do this session here today. Still in recovery mode, but I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I had pizza for lunch and I was able to keep it down, which is a lot more than I could say for the food that I had yesterday. But yeah, I'm feeling much better now, and hopefully I should still be pretty good going forward. Now, this area can be a bit annoying, because we got these bows over here that can give you trouble. So I actually learned pretty recently you can insta-kill bows by using Deku Nuts, as they're actually vulnerable to light. At least the black bows are. Now, this is the room where I said that the light gimmick here is a bit awkward for me. What we want to do is shine the light on these mirrors in order to get them to store the light to use for this puzzle. Just what I feel is that these mirrors don't really hold the light for a very long time. So it can be pretty tricky, specifically in this room. Alright, it's an enemy we briefly saw when we were coming up to Icona Canyon, but didn't get a good chance to scan them. That's a Nejiron. Don't get too close to it. It smells like gunpowder. So this is one of the weirdest enemies in all of Majora. They're these weird monsters that look like Gorons and will just kind of roll at you after they appear. These guys are definitely pretty nasty. 'Cause if you strike at them, they actually explode. Yeah, I really don't know what the deal is with these guys. One of the freakiest looking enemies in this game, and yeah, there's not much else to it than that. They're just really weird looking. So we also can shine our light on these suns on the wall in order to, well, burn them away, but there's something else we can do with these. Get out of here, Bo. Is there anything we can do? Yep, that is the thing I was thinking of. We can shine our light on that switch to make a chest appear. And then we can use that to open up this chest, getting ourselves another stray fairy. Okay, now this is the part that I really don't like about this room. So gotta shine a light on one mirror in order to charge it. Then we need to maneuver over here, shine the light in this mirror to charge it. And then we shine the light over onto that block. All the while we got the bows that are constantly spawning in to give us trouble. Yeah, you can see why I consider this one of the more awkward rooms in this game. Because every time I come here, I don't really have the best time of this. Just have to put as much charge as we can there. Come on! Yeah, it really is just the respawning bows that make this room the worst, because they are constantly getting in the way of you being able to solve this puzzle. I do not like them. Get out of here! Alright, we'll shine on you. Just get you nice and toasty. And then we should be able to shine on that block. And that opens the way. Ah, thank goodness we got through this here. Yeah, it's one of the more awkward puzzles. I'm not really the biggest fan of that area. Ah, we got two Nejiron here. Get out of here. Ironically, the Nejirons do drop bombs when you kill them, which, you know, I find quite interesting. They remind me a bit of the creepers from Minecraft in that way. It's really nasty things. Oh boy, this area. Now, this is another awkward room, but I actually don't mind this one too much. This area is going to employ using our Deku form in order to maneuver around here. There's a bunch of updrafts that we can get in order to maneuver around this place, which is quite nice. We can get over here where we can find this chest, getting ourselves another stray fairy. Now the next thing we're gonna do, we're actually gonna drop down here in our Goron form. And we got ourselves a puzzle here that can be a bit nasty if you're not prepared for it. So what I want to do is curl up, hit that switch, and that causes the flames around that switch to go away. Now this part here, you have very tight timing to get over here and hit that switch. Oh my god, I'm so glad I got that first try. Yeah, you have a limited time when going through here in order to be able to hit that switch before the column of fire comes back. I am so thankful I managed to do that first try. Otherwise, we would have been here for a couple minutes. Man, this room really does give me a lot of trouble when I'm normally playing through this game. I was not expecting to get this lucky. But yep. Now we've taken care of that, we now have another chest exposed for us to get. And this part is pretty simple here. We're just using our Deku form to maneuver our way to these shafts of air so that we can then use them! Oh, get out of the fire! Of course, we still have these Bonchu to deal with. Those guys are still a-holes. So I definitely want to be careful in this part. If you want to make sure that you maneuver just right. I don't know if we're going to be able to get it. We're flying backwards! Woo! Okay, just barely made it that time. Whew, that was interesting. But yep, we're able to get another stray fairy by getting that. Quite nice indeed. Alright, so now we've taken care of that. It's a Garo, but purple! We got ourselves a new enemy here. If we can, please tattle you. That's the Garo Master. You can't find him like an ordinary Garo. Just dodge those swords. So this guy battles very similar to the Garo we encountered before. Only he has a spin attack that he can do. He'll also try to drop down from above in order to strike you. Yeah, this guy is quite intimidating looking between the purple robe and the mask and the flaming swords. You definitely get the feel that this guy is the leader of a sect of ninjas. There we go. To think I could be defeated, although my rival, you were spectacular. I shall take my bow by opening my heart and revealing my wisdom. If you shoot that which releases the sacred golden light into the blood-stained red emblem outside the temple, it shall rearrange things in which the earth is born in the heavens and the moon is born on the earth. Do not forget these words. Die I shall, leaving no corpse. Ow, my ovaries. That is the law of Asgaro. Sorry, I had to do the Bob voice one last time. But by beating the Garo Master, we get ourselves our prize. The Light Arrow. Set it to C to power up your arrows. The light of justice shall target evil. So this was one of the late game items in the original Ocarina of Time, given to us by Zelda in order to counter the evil magic of Ganondorf. And here we get them as our dungeon reward inside Stone Tower. That also raises some questions regarding this area, really. Wow, really, that did nothing. Alright, so we got ourselves a hip loop over here with a mask. As you can probably imagine, these guys are very similar to the Helmasaurs that we encounter back in A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening. You can simply strike those guys with the hook shot in order to remove the mask, and then you're able to strike them dead. Now, this room here, we can see that there is a switch over here that we are unable to reach normally. However, there is a way you can totally cheese this puzzle in order to prevent a bit of backtracking. You can place a bomb there, right where the switch is, and that causes this chest to spawn down here. Yep, I am doing this in order to make things a bit easier for us later on in our adventure. We're able to get ourselves a stray fairy. depending on the order you go for this area, that could be the last stray fairy you get in Stone Tower Temple. But thankfully, I knew of that specific exploit we could do in order to get this one early. And now that we got 7 stray fairies, yeah, I have a good feeling that we are about done with this part of the temple, at least for now. So we no doubt check with our mask. Yep, we got the stray fairy we can get over here. And then we come over to this part. And we got ourselves a new enemy to deal with. So this guy here is a very seldom seen enemy in the series. It's an Igor. Simply attacking it's no good. I say you should pay attention to the subtle changes in its eye. So this guy, we want to strike him with our light arrows. Wait for its eye to turn yellow, and then strike. Ow, come on. Well, the light arrows, compared to our other arrow types, they use up more magic. So there is that to worry about. But thankfully, just a few shots with the light arrows will take these guys out. So the light arrows, compared to our other arrow types, do huge amounts of damage to enemies. They're intended to be the ultimate weapon. They can just strike enemies dead with ease, and can be quite handy for also solving puzzles. Alright, so we basically have everything we need in order to progress to the next part of this area. However, I do want to backtrack to one of the areas we had previously visited, as there's something we should be able to... Oh, come on! I dare you to do that again. Come here, you. Yeah, I do want to backtrack to one of the previous rooms we had visited, now that we have the light arrows, because there is something we are now able to do that should get us another thing we need. Let's quickly switch back to our Zora form, because we need to go diving again. Then want to dolphin jump up here. So, now that we have the light arrows, this gives us the ability to shine light on these blocks without needing to use our mirror shield. And that's how we're able to deal with those. Definitely a very nice thing for us to have. Yeah, I do like the added uses of the light arrows in this game, whereas in Ocarina of Time, they were basically there as the ultimate weapon you needed to beat the final boss. So I definitely like the added applications of this item here in this area. Just want to check our map right quick. Yeah, we still got a bit we need to do, but I think we are pretty much done with this section of the map here. Alright, so just need to make our way back to the start, which I know we could use the Song of Soaring in order to head to the start of this area, but we're so close to the end here, might as well just walk it. Another thing I forgot to mention when going to this area is I would highly recommend having items that replenish magic, as those would be very handy in this area. So definitely recommend stocking up on green or blue potions. Or better yet, getting the Chateau Romani, as that would give you endless magic to use in this area. Certainly be real good, but we don't need to worry about that for the time being. Okay, so we got one more thing to do with the Elegy of Emptiness here. And you may have noticed that we are actually in the outside of Stone Tower Temple here. Yeah, there is a reason for that, as hinted by the Garo Master. So we basically run a complete loop of the dungeon here, but we weren't able to find a way over to the boss, nor were we able to find the boss key. So what we need to do is set up a couple blocks here so that we have a path to where we need to go. Alright, so now we got these blocks here. We want to jump over here. And you remember what the Gara Master said about a red emblem? So that is actually referring to this jewel here. We strike you with the light arrow. Look at that. Our perspective is now completely changed. And this area is now upside down. So I think there's also some things we're able to grab while the world is topsy-turvy like this. So we can see from the map that there are chests nearby. Oh, I think we want to come here with magic beams. So that could be something I could look into later. But yeah, don't need to worry about that here. So what we want to do is now hop across these blocks so that we can make our way back to the entrance of Stone Tower now that it's all been turned upside down. So now we get to explore the entire temple again, only the perspective is completely changed and we're now walking on the ceiling of this area. Isn't this just this really cool gimmick? Like, getting to explore the same dungeon, but from a different perspective like this. God, it is so cool. And as you can no doubt tell, there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to need to do around here before we can wrap things up. Got ourselves a new enemy over here that we'll eventually go into. A Death Armos, a temple guard. Look at that red mark on its chest. You know you've seen something like that before. Yep, it's got the same red emblem that we saw on the front of Stone Tower Temple. But yeah, but this whole area flipped upside down. This gives us a whole bunch of new ways we can navigate this area. Some of which we're not going to be able to do until a bit later. However, I do want to take this opportunity to strike this sun emblem here with our light arrows, as that will cause a chest to appear. Right here at the start. Also, as you may have noticed from the Majora emblem on this level here, yeah, if you want to fight the boss of this area again, you are going to have to flip the entire dungeon over in order to do that. So, we'll definitely want to remember that for the future. So now we're going to be retracing our steps through this area, using everything that we have gained up until this point, and maneuvering with all of our different abilities from a different perspective. Really makes this area really cool. And just one of the more fascinating aspects about this game in particular. So switch over here, we can press. So I want to say this one we got a way down. Yep. Okay, so we got another use of the Elegy of Emptiness in this area. Kind of forgot just how much you do need this particular song here. I just think of the big puzzle with the large number of switches, and I think, oh, that's the last time we gotta do it. Not so. But want to weigh you down. And we should be able to get to this chest up here. This part is a little interesting as you need to navigate to a different a stream of air to be able to reach where you need to. Oh boy, dawn of the final day. Hopefully we should be able to get this dungeon finished before we are at the end here. I mean, we just got our 11 stray fairies. That's definitely a good sign that we are almost done with this area. As you may recall, this was the area that was once flooded with water, but now the perspective has changed it, so it's now dried up. And has definitely opened up quite a bit of new things we're able to see. Speaking of things that we need to do, so we're gonna need to grab another key before we could go forward this way. And I have a good feeling I know where we can get this one. We got this hip loop over here. And we will just take you out with our hook shot, and we should be good. Get out of here! Really? That doesn't cause the chest to appear? Okay, we'll probably have to come at a different angle for that one. I'm trying to think of the progress. Oh, yeah. There's a sun switch we can hit over here. Right. So let's go blast this sucker. Whoop, too high. Take that. And by hitting that, yep, it causes another chest to spawn upside down. So we'll definitely be grabbing that one later, but yeah, you pretty much have to come back after you have acquired the... after getting the temple right side up in order to grab it. Yeah, kind of annoying, but not really that bad. Now we're able to grab this chest over here. Aw, man, being in this section of the dungeon when it's the final day and it's causing everything to be shaky, aw, man, it just really adds to the tense atmosphere of this place. Okay, so now that we have the key, we should be able to head over here and get through this door. And this room is quite interesting. You can see over here, it's got an area with a lava ceiling, and we can see that same red emblem in this room. So, yep, we were able to shoot this with our light arrows in order to flip the temple back around. Quite an interesting little thing we have here. Oh, we can even walk back into this room and... okay, it doesn't flip the temple, it just flips the room that we are in. Yeah, I was wondering about that. So it's just the room being inverted here. But yep, still a neat little puzzle. So now we can walk across in our Goron form. So now we're standing over here. And then we want to shoot the jewel again. And that allows us to head over here. Okay, this room is going to be a bit interesting. Now, the gimmick of this area is we got a block that we gotta push in order to be able to weigh down a switch that's on the other side of the room. But in order to get the block over, we got to invert the room so that we're able to push it to a new spot. Yeah, quite the interesting little gimmick here. Thankfully, you're able to restock on arrows because of the chews that we got in this area. So it's really not too bad. It just takes a little while to get this puzzle completed. It's really not that bad. Alright, let's flip you over again. So now we're able to push you over to this side of the room. And we just got a bit more to do in order to get you onto the switch we need. Yep, now we can invert the room again. I want to push you forward. And we should be about done here. Again, I really like the feel of this dungeon. Just the entire gimmick of flipping things around in order to be able to navigate it. Just such a cool idea. Definitely reminds me a lot of A Link Between Worlds, and how that game also plays with perspective, with you being able to turn into a 2D drawing and then being able to navigate through different areas that way. Oh, look what we got here! Got ourselves another battle with Wizrobe. We definitely fought this guy a ton, and this one is certainly no different. Ah! Okay, note to self, the Zora form is weak to fire. So this area you do want to be careful, because the ceiling here has lava, and it will be raining lava down on you. So yeah, definitely be careful. We probably don't need to use our light arrows for Wizrobe here. Ow, come on. But I don't know, they're a main weapon for this area, so might as well get some use out of them. There you are. And with that, managed to take out Wizrobe yet again. And doing that causes that chest to appear. Which, wouldn't you know it, is going to have another stray fairy. Most likely. I mean, it's pretty consistent with the brown chest that they would have the fairies. And that is the case here. Yeah, this is actually the room that we fought the Armos in before. With that, we should have everything we need over there. So now we can come over here. We got ourselves some Poes to deal with. We've seen a bit of these guys before, but yeah, they're really not too bad. They'll make themselves intangible so that you can't strike them, and then they will try to whack you with their lanterns. They do drop their souls when you kill them, which can be helpful if you want to grab their souls for reasons. But we don't need to worry about that. So I believe you are able to sell the Poe souls to the Curiosity Shop, but obviously they're not as valuable as the souls of a big Poe, so I don't really find them that necessary to gather. Besides, I already got my jars full of other items. Okay, I can see that there is a chest over there we need to get to. And I also know that there's some things over this way that lead back into the first room. So I want to ignore that for now and head this way. So yeah, this is the area I was thinking of. That'll be good to us. Actually, wait. No, actually, we do want to head back over here. Alright, what I meant to do is go into our Deku form so that we can hop up here. So this is back in that one room with all the switches. And this area also has quite a few enemies here. We got both the Poes as well as these guys, the Death Armos. I want to call them Dark Armos just because it's more of a fitting name for them, I feel, but Yeah, these guys are a bit irritating, not gonna lie. Just want to play Elegy of Emptiness again here to weigh down this switch. Again, I forget how much you need to use this song in this dungeon. But it's all good. We'll deal with the Deaf Armos in a bit. I just don't want to worry about them in this specific room. I was able to grab a small key there. Ow. So yeah, definitely a good idea that I didn't miss out on that. Ow. Quit it. You guys are being jerks. Alright. So now we've taken care of that. We can finally head this way. This area, definitely a few things I want to be on the lookout for. We can see that there is a chest in this area, but don't worry, we're not going to be grabbing that for a little bit. So I want to see if I can strike these mines and get them to collide with each other. Does that would make navigating? Yep. So that should make getting over there so much easier. So I want to fly over here. We can hear there's another Igor in this area, but thankfully we don't have to worry about that guy. So now we've taken care of that, we can now fly over here. And want to go over this way. This area's got some bubbles for us to deal with. We dealt with these guys plenty of times, so they're really not much trouble for us. Get out of here, you. Let's grab less of this here. Just want to make sure we are all full of this stuff. Okay, I just noticed the switch over there. We're probably going to need to go back for that later. I'd like to get rid of this jinx before we go into this next room, because trust me, there's something in here we want to be ready for. And speaking of being ready, make sure you have light arrows equipped. Because here, we got ourselves a big fight. Got ourselves a second mid-boss in Stone Tower. It's Gomez. There'll be no end to it if you can't get those bats away from it. Does that shed any light on the situation? So yeah, but this guy wants to get rid of the bad bats around him using our light arrows. That will expose his core, which you can then strike with the sword. This guy is definitely very intimidating and one of my favorite enemy designs in this game. Just this spectral Grim Reaper. He's got all these bats to serve as his servants. But, yeah, he's not really that bad, especially with the Gilded Sword. As long as you are persistent, you're able to take him out. Definitely one of the coolest enemy designs in this game. God, I love Gomez. It's very sad this is the only time we encounter him in the game. So I think it's very fitting that this entire chapter has been associated with the undead. So having one of the major bosses of this area being a Grim Reaper-like figure, it's just so appropriate with the imagery and theming of this whole chapter of the game. So good. Also, you can kind of read into Gomez being the master of the bad bats that we've encountered all throughout the game. Which definitely sets them apart from the Keese that we have previously encountered, since the Keese really don't have any master. And yet, these bats that we've encountered all throughout the journey do, like, I don't know, it's kind of neat. Alright, can we hit these mines, please? Okay, good. So I want to say there's a chance that you could hit all 3 of them to get them to explode, but yeah, that wasn't too bad. Kind of want to think about some other stuff I want to talk about. So pretty recently, what I've been doing is I have been checking out some of the vids that have been from the channel Shafrillis Productions recently, because he's been putting out a lot of videos this month that I'm quite happy about. One of the notable ones that he just uploaded today is a ranking of a bunch of movies that feature the actor Adam Sandler, and oh man, that frickin' video is so flippin' funny. Like, I've only seen a small portion of it, but trust me when I say it's a good time. It is just such a fun video. And I'm looking forward to checking out the rest of it very soon. But as we can see over here, now that we've triggered that switch, this gives us yet another chest that we're able to grab so that we can go forward. So as you would obviously expect, this is the path that leads to the boss. However, there's still a few things that we need to grab before we are done here. So I just want to make sure that we cleared all this up. There's at least 2 chests that we need to reset the tower back to its normal position. And then there is one other thing we missed in the last room that I want to go for. So let me quickly check over here, so I make sure that we have taken care of all of that we are able to do. So yeah, we got that switch over there we can hit. Oh, really? That's a bit unusual to me. Let's fall down. Really? That's not gonna shoot us down? Okay, how are we gonna get to this one chest that's in this area? Please get shot up, please. Oh, there it is. God, I was wondering where this chest was, and it's just over here. Okay, I'm gonna need to take advantage of this gust of air. And actually, this is not a good vantage point for this one. Can we... Ow! Get out of my way, hip loop! So we grab another... this probably also isn't that good of an angle to get that. Okay, I don't know why I didn't think to do this sooner. We just use our hook shot to grab this one. Wow, really? Come on, game. You know we can grab this here. Too high. Yeah, I've really liked a lot of the videos that Shafrillis has been putting out very recently. Like, he did a video ranking all of the Robot Chicken Star Wars sketches, and that was definitely a very fun time. It's quite nice to kind of look back on that particular show, since I did like it quite a bit when I was younger. And especially the Star Wars segments have a lot of good stuff to them. There's a ton of funny moments within those videos. Alright, so that taken care of, there's just 2 things we need to get. One of which is, well, 2 of which are going to require re-inverting the tower back to the way it was. So just bear with me for a moment so we can take care of this. I like to get this taken care of before we go face the boss of this area. Yeah, it is a little irritating that you do need to do this specific thing. Just because you already go to the trouble of... having to invert the tower so that you can and grab a couple of the chests here. But when the tower's inverted, that causes some other chests to appear that require you to reset the tower back to normal. So yeah, that is a bit of the more irritating side of this area. But besides that, I still really enjoy Stone Tower Temple. This area is just so iconic in the best way. Alright, what order do we need to hit these again to make this? Yeah. It is also irritating that we have to do this again. What's something we can talk about while we're just going through this? Just kind of thinking about some other stuff that I've been doing lately. So, over in one of the Discord servers that I'm in, we like to host a Secret Santa event every year, and this one has definitely been pretty interesting. So I signed up for our annual Secret Santa event, and I managed to get done the art that I was requested to do. So I'm very excited to eventually get to upload it and share it with everyone on the server, but it's gonna be a little while before that is ready, because still only a week away from Christmas. God, it feels weird to say that. Like, this has simultaneously been, like, the shortest, but also the longest year ever, it feels. Goddamn, so much has gone on, and not a lot of it has been positive, let me tell ya. But yeah, I'm really excited for this Christmas. It'll be very nice to get to see some of my folks again, especially after so long. It'll also be just really good to get a nice chance to relax, not to worry too much about what's been going on compared to a lot of other things. Okay, this dragonfly, please get out of here. Die. Alright, with you taken care of, we can finally get back up here. There's one more chest we need to get when the dungeon is right side up, and then we should be ready to reinvert the tower. So went ahead back in here into the water room, because one of the switches we activated here exposed this chest that we are now able to get to. By opening up this bad boy, we get the last stray fairy of Stone Tower Temple. So yeah, definitely one of the more tricky dungeons when it comes to getting all the stray fairies. And you do have to do a bit of redundant stuff to be able to get them all, but all in all, wasn't too bad. We're still at the about midway for the last day, so that's pretty good. Definitely making good time here. We should hopefully be wrapping up this section very soon. Alright. Let's got one last iteration of this before we can reinvert the tower, and then we can go face the boss. What else I can talk about? I guess pretty recently I could mention that, so I've been checking out the recent videos by the channel The Runaway Guys, that they've been playing through the Nintendo 64 Mario Party games again on the channel, and it's been quite interesting watching them play these games after so many years. I've definitely been having a good time of watching those videos, and they've actually got me motivated to revisit those older Mario Party games on my own time. So I've definitely been having a pretty fun venturing into those particular games. So right now I'm going through Mario Party 2, because I'll be damned if I am going through Mario Party 1 again. Sorry, I just don't feel like that game is really all that good over time. It has aged really poorly, especially with those fucking control stick spinning minigames. They are the worst. God, I do not like them. But I'm going through Mario Party 2, and man, is that game ever fun. I've been doing a couple of the boards, and it's just been a fun time. I'm actually pretty close to wrapping up that game, because I still have 2 more boards to do, and then I'll have, done everything I wanted with that particular game. So yeah, I've definitely been a fun time revisiting the classic Mario parties. Even if I do strongly feel like the more modern games are a whole lot better. Mario Party Superstars was so good. That is an amazing game. And it's also fun because that game reuses all of the classic Mario Party boards. Wow, really? You're not gonna give me even one of those magic potions, game? Come on. But now, it's time for us to go take on our final challenge here in Stone Tower. We got ourselves another Igor to deal with here. Also really like the appearance of the Igors here. They got kind of an insect-like appearance to them compared to some of the other games where they appeared. I need this guy to turn yellow. Okay, please. Come on, sir. You are not being very good. There we go. Yeah, you can only shoot these guys when their eyes turn yellow. Reminds me a bit about the fight against Queen Goma from Ocarina. How you can only strike them when the eye is a certain color. There we go! Take out that Igor. And taking this guy out also gives us this chest, which you will definitely want to grab before we finish off this area. Because inside this chest, you got the Giant's Mask. Within this mask lies the might of a giant, but can you use its power anywhere? This is a really, really cool mask, and we'll definitely want it going forward. So normally, we're not actually able to put on this mask and use its power. It's an interesting thing because you're only able to use it under very specific circumstances. But trust me, we are very close to the area where we'll be able to show off the power of this mask. Don't you worry. It's got one last little thing to maneuver before we're at the end here. Yep, you can see that there is the boss door, which we can only access after we have defeated Gomez. But now, it's time to go through. And with that, we're actually back in the room where we fought the Garo Master and got the light arrows. There's nowhere else for us to go but down. Uh-oh. It's a giant worm! Giant masked insect, twin mold. So we got ourselves the Zelda tradition of fighting a giant worm in the desert. Twin mold here is definitely one nasty beast. We can actually scan you a tattle. Just its head and tail aren't protected by its hard exoskeleton, so aim carefully. If only you were the same size as it. So there are actually two main ways of defeating this boss. And what I would like to do is I want to try and fight this guy in both different ways. So we got ourselves two opponents here. One twin mold is red, the other is green. So what we want to do here is try to shoot either its head or its tail using our arrows. This is a very similar fight thematically to what we could expect from the land malas back in A Link to the Past, where it's also a giant worm enemy where you can only attack a certain segment of its body. Also similar to Moldorm. Yeah, we actually have a limited supply of arrows here, so definitely want to be careful about that with these guys. Ow! Especially if they get close and just strike you like that. I think you might be able to slice at them with the sword, but it's really not recommended. Alright, we're able to strike them that way. Of course, I'm totally ignoring one of the other ways of beating these guys, but don't worry, we'll get into it in a bit. Whoa, this guy's real close. Yeah, definitely one of the more intimidating fights in terms of scale. Like, I think these might be the single largest Zelda enemies in the entire series. It's because of their sheer size compared to Link. They are massive. But yeah, there really isn't much else to this fight. These guys will just roam around. The chances that they'll actually strike you are very low. So it's really not that hard of a fight. It's just trying to aim at these guys when they move so fast. And with their vulnerable spots being one of two sections of their body, yeah, it's really not the best fight. I still prefer it over Georg, because Georg is just blah. But yeah, these guys really aren't too bad. Ow! Jeez. Got blindsided by Twin Mold again. Also just love the running trend of the Zelda series, how like there's always a boss fight against a giant worm, usually in a desert. Like it happened with Lon Malas, it happens with Mulgara. It's such an interesting trend in this series. Alright, we got another hit there. We are steadily running low on arrows. Thankfully, we should be good here still. We get these guys to slow down a bit. I think you want to strike their eyes, as that is their hitbox for their head. But besides that, the tail is usually the part you want to go for. Alright, but doing some good hits so far. Whoa. Totally blocking my shot there, buddy. Nice, nice. Again, I think you can use the sword here, but the bow is your preferred method of attack for this fight. Could you guys get closer, please? Also, I wouldn't recommend getting in the sand, because I do believe it works like quicksand, and it will pull you under. Okay, we only got 2 arrows left, and I'm pretty sure there isn't any way that we can get more here. So yeah, this could easily be a fight that could be really bad for you if you are just unprepared. Okay, we actually don't have to worry too much about the sand. I think you might be able to get arrows to spawn if you get these guys to, like, strike the pillars around here. But yeah, we've basically exhausted all of our arrows, and there isn't an easy way for us to get more. If there is, then I don't know it. So what are we able to do against these guys if we run out of arrows? Remember our mask. Alright, before we do this, I want to down a magic potion. Just so we have plenty of magic for this part. So if we put on our Giant's Mask, specifically in a Twin Mold's boss chamber, we grow into a giant. And now we're able to strike at the bosses with our sword. Yeah, as a giant, we are quite powerful. Enough to really lay into Twin Mold and take out one of them with ease. Yeah, the Giant's Mask. This is the only area in the game you can use it, and it's just really cool using this thing. Just giving you the size and strength of a giant and just laying into these giant monsters. It's so good. Again, you want to attack either the head or the tail to take them out. So the Giant's Mask does consume magic, so make sure that you have plenty before going into this fight. Otherwise, you can easily softlock yourself. This fight is also notable for being a bit different in the 3DS version. As in your giant form, you use close quarters combat attacks and do various grapples against the boss instead of using your sword to damage them, which, you know, is kind of interesting. Not really what I would have done with this particular fight, but hey, whatever works. You've seized Twin Mold's remains. You just freed the innocent spirit that this dark mask had kept imprisoned within the body of evil Twin Mold. Hooray! Well, we've helped all of you. That's all we can do. Call us. That's what they're saying. Without being told, we understand. So now you'll help us out in exchange. We'll call you from atop the clock tower, so do something about him, all right? What? Their voices sound sad. You don't want to? Forgive your friend. Forgive our friend? What do you mean by forgive? Huh? What friend? What is that? Thanks to our efforts, Ikanya Canyon is now at peace. By destroying Twin Mold, we have now allowed the dead to be able to rest here. Flat, sharp, ego stuakana. They no longer have to worry about their restless pain. done a lot good here, even though ultimately we couldn't save the lives of the people who were so badly hurt because of the Skull Kid and Majora's Mask. We were able to save Pamela and her father, though, so there's that. And now that we have all the stray fairies from Stone Tower, it's time to say hello to the last great fairy. Oh, compassionate young one, I am the great fairy of kindness. Thank you for returning my broken and shattered body to normal. As thanks, I grant you the fairy sword. You got the great fairy sword. Set it to C to use. With black roses etched into it, the great fairy sword's the most powerful of all blades. Come see me whenever you're overcome by weariness. Oh boy, I've been waiting to talk about this one. So the Great Fairy Sword is the last of our important items we can get on our journey. This thing is massive. Think of it like the Begoron Sword from Ocarina of Time. It is a massive sword that requires 2 hands to use, so we're incapable of wielding our sword when we have it. But this thing hurts. It's stronger than the Gilded Sword, and will make mincemeat out of any enemies we come across. It is just such a phenomenal weapon. We'll definitely be making good use of it in the remainder of our journey. However, in terms of things that we still need to do before we close off this session, there's only a little bit we need to do. So there's something I want to do back in Clock Town after we manage to progress to later on in this night. But there is something we should be able to do here in Ikana Canyon. And to do that, we want to head down into the river over here. And specifically want to head this way. I'm going to go ahead and put on Zora Mask just so we can quickly get through here. So I want to head down this river over here, as there's actually a cavern that we're able to reach from this side of the area. Oh, I think I see... Well, we got a sign over here. I thought I saw a gossip stone. Secret shrine behind waterfall. Now awaiting the challenges of bold visitors sure of their might. He he he. He actually took the liberty of saying he he he. Oh, we got a hole over here. Might as well check inside here. Let's got ourselves a chest we can get. And that contains bomb chew. Okay, it's not bad. So it's just about the final night of this cycle, which should be quite interesting as we have quite a bit we need to do in a little while. But for now, let's head into this cave. So over here in the secret shrine, we got ourselves yet another hole that we can put magic beans into. So that's something we'll probably want to look into later. But I don't think it's going to be anything major we need to worry about. Actually, would like to have the Great Fairy Sword on hand before we go through here. So in order to open up this shrine, we do need the light arrows from Stone Tower. So that's why I wanted to come here after we have dealt with Twin Mold. Yeah, hello, Master Starman. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I had a pretty good time with Stone Tower. It seems somehow you managed to send the Akana's wandering spirits into peace. But outside of Akana, there are still swarms of wandering spirits with lingering regrets. The ones in this room want to meet you again, and have been waiting here for quite a while. Go see them if you feel like it. I'm sure they'll welcome you. we got ourselves quite the interesting challenge we're able to do here. So we've been told by the Poe Collector, in order to take on the lost souls in this area. So what we have here is basically a mini-boss gauntlet full of our past foes. Starting with Dinalphos. We got a whole crew of these guys to deal with. And, yeah, as you can see there, we one-shot them with the Great Fairy Sword. Really shows how powerful this thing that even Dinalphos are a breeze to beat. Yeah, this really is a great weapon, and I highly recommend picking it up. And by beating those guys, we get a silver rupee. This is an excellent area to go to if you want to grind rupees. It does require having to fight Twin Mold to be able to do this, but trust me, it is very well worth it. You get just so many rupees by doing this. It's really good if you want to try and get the last reward at the bank you need. Now if we head into this room, once again we have to fight Wizrobe. Yeah, these guys... We had to fight this guy so many times in our adventure. Was it really necessary to include him here? I guess. I mean, I would have preferred to fight Gomez again, because that guy is freaking awesome. But yeah, just your standard battle against Wizrobe. Not much has changed. He goes down all the same. And by beating him, we get ourselves another chest full of rupees. So we'll leave that. Yep, is another silver rupee. Yeah, definitely a good spot if you want to gather a good amount of rupees. Definitely very handy. Also recommend coming here after you have managed to obtain the Giant's Wallet, since you obviously get really large rupee amounts in this area. Now, if we head over this way... is there anything in these plants that we can get? Because I do want to see if we can get some arrows for this next part. So we look up. Yep, it's Wart. Once again, we gotta deal with this guy. Alright, so this is pretty much just going to be the same fight we had against Wart before. Just use your fire arrows to get off a lot of the bubbles here. And what I also recommend, as I demonstrated before, is that using the Zora's boomerangs are also quite good at striking the eye, since they can strike you even past all of the little eggs. Also be sure to use spin attacks to deal with the large group of eggs, and you should be good. Yeah, there's not much else that we need to talk about involving Wart. It's just the same battle we've done before. What else could I mention? Just kind of thinking of some other stuff that's been going on. I guess I can mention that earlier today, I did my yearly tradition around holiday season of watching the Muppets Family Christmas movie. I just really love it as a longtime fan of both the Muppets and Sesame Street. It's just such a good time. I really love that special. So good seeing all of these various characters from all these different shows come together to celebrate the holidays. It's such a good time. highly recommend checking it out. There are free uploads of it you can see on YouTube if you are interested. Just a very fun time. Now we've taken care of this part of the fight. Now we just gotta deal with Wards when he's in this state. I don't want to be in Zora form. Why am I doing this? Get out of here, you. I guess something else I can mention pretty recently. So, Nintendo has re-released Rayman 2 The Great Escape on the Nintendo Switch's service for Nintendo 64 games. And I've been playing a little bit of it pretty recently. Obviously not yesterday, because I was so sick I did not have the energy to do anything. But yeah, I've been playing in quite a bit of that, and it's very fun getting to revisit this game after so long. It's actually a game that I do want to stream at some point in the future, because it would be pretty nice to check it out here, and also get to talk about a lot more of my experiences with that game in depth. Especially with regards to one of the versions of the game that I played. Specifically, my introduction to Rayman 2 was the PlayStation 2 version of the game, otherwise known as Rayman Revolution. Which, God, that game was quite fun for me to play as a kid. I never owned it, but we did rent it, and it was such a fun time playing through it. Especially because that version has more content compared to the other older versions of that game. And yeah, it was really fun getting to experience it when I was younger. My actual introduction to the Rayman series was through Rayman Free Hoodlum Havoc. And that's what got me to try out Rayman Revolution, and obviously get introduced to Rayman 2. Yeah, that was just such a neat way to get introduced to those specific games. And quite happy to get to revisit the Nintendo 64 version now that it's on the Switch. Definitely a fun time going through it right now, and I am very excited. Yeah, I'm just very excited to get through it some more.
You really are an amazing person, Hayden. It seems you somehow managed to heal their souls.
Yeah, I healed them by slicing them up and shooting them.
Maybe I shall vanish soon myself. Well then,
So by beating all of the challenges that the Poe Collector set for us, he leaves behind one final reward. What's our reward for doing all of this? Another piece of heart. Definitely a very worthwhile challenge, and it got us a ton of items for us. Okay, looking at what we can get here, yeah, I think the only thing you get from the bean plant in this room are those rupees up there. So, yeah, not really worth it. Also, Link, why did you just walk into the water? I had no control over that whatsoever. Whatever. So now that we've taken care of that, that's basically everything I wanted to do in Icona Canyon. There's not much we're going to be able to do here besides one particular side quest, which we'll definitely cover in the next session. But for now, I want to head back to Clock Town, because I want to deposit some of our rupees, and then we'll want to check into the Curiosity Shop at around 10. Given the current time, yeah, we might as well set the flow of time back to normal, because I have no other time-sensitive things to worry about in this session. We're basically going to grab the last thing we need here, and then we're going to be done with this session. Alright, so we definitely want to check out the curiosity shop, but want to stop by the bank first. As I'm pretty sure of our current rupee total, we should be able to do this now. Store 500. What? You're really going to give me that much? Alright, little guy. Now I got a total of 4,706 rupees. God, we are so close to getting what we need from you. So we're actually going to withdraw the rupees that we just put in there. Because we need at least 500 for the thing I want to do here. Man, even in fantasy worlds, the banks are always trying to add, like, little stipulations and other things in order to leech money from their customers. Yep, should be just about time for us to get this thing. Just need to wait a little bit. And we should be good now. So yeah, we want to revisit the curiosity shop on the final night. Come in! You gotta look around. I'm doing a special sale. Check it out. Tonight's bargain is the all-night mask for use at bedtime. I forgot when this was made, but it sure is a freaky mask. See? When you put it on, you can try to fall asleep, but you won't be able to. Pretty creepy, huh? So this is the all-night mask. You won't get sleepy if you wear this mask. This thing is worth a whopping 500 rupees, so you need the giant's wallet to be able to even purchase it. Apparently this mask will let you drift off to sleep, even if you want to. You bought a weird mask. This was added to your notebook. Oh, I have nothing else to sell, I kid you not. So, can I buy something? No, thank you. So the all-night mask will only appear here if you manage to stop Sakon from robbing the lady who owns the bomb shop. So it is definitely one of the more remote masks that you're not likely to encounter unless you're at this point. And trust me when I say this thing is definitely worth the price. This thing is going to be integral for us to get a couple more pieces of heart. But for now, we just put it on and just look at Link's face. Yeah, that is kind of freaky looking. The way his eyes are just open and bloodshot. It's never explicitly stated, but I like to imagine that this mask was created specifically as a form of torture. As you would affix it onto someone's face, and since they couldn't sleep, they would just be left awake and they would just get more and more exhausted before they finally die. Just such a weird concept for a mask. Definitely one of the more freaky ones in this game, just from a lore perspective. But yeah, this will definitely be a mask that will be important to us in the next session, as we're hoping to wrap up some of the last things we need to do. So now that we have dispatched with Twin Mold, we are basically ready to go up the clock tower and face off against the Skull Kid and head into the end game of Majora's Mask. However, we still have some unfinished business in the world of Termina before we do that. And I would definitely like to take care of that in the next session. Sure, we'll let midnight roll around, because why not? It's actually cool watching the tower set itself in real time. Like, that's a fun little detail. But yep, not able to save the world in this iteration of the cycle, but trust me, we'll have plenty of time to do that later. So next time on The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, we shall be tackling my favorite side quest in this game. And hopefully we'll be wrapping up a lot of the things we needed to before we can get started on the end game. So until next time, have a good day, and take care, everyone.